Oh god. Looks like I just murdered Tyrone from Backyardigans on my desk. Yeah, I ate 3 oranges and now my desk is like drenched in orange blood or juice, whatever. Anyway, welcome to Little Story Time. Now, yes, that was a completely irrelevant intro. I'm now going to proceed into the topic which you clicked on the video for, okay? Now, little disclaimer. While you might have thought from reading the title that, you know, I was going to tell you about my sexual escapades or, like, my skills at picking up women or something like that, no. This is not a cool story from my perspective. It might be from one of my friends, but I'll get into it. Anyway, let's just start this from the beginning. Physics class. Grade 11. I thought physics class would be easy. Science classes for me in the past were pretty easy. It's just kind of a lot of memorization, or at least it is in the prior grades, and I'm pretty good at that. But physics class, first day physics class, okay? Halfway through the class, I look around, and I just see at least 3 kids are already asleep. And everybody else is so spaced out. They all have those suicidal expressions that everybody has on their face when they're bored during school. And I'm just like, there's a little voice in the back of my head saying, escape, run while you can, run. And basically, I had a boring teacher, okay? A bad and boring teacher, all right? We all have them. And in university, I hear that that's basically all the teachers. I had a teacher who was first foreign, which wasn't that big a problem, but it, well, you know, there was an accent to overcome. And then she was also a PhD professor, right? I don't know why she was teaching at a high school. Obviously, she was a smart person. But yeah, she knew her stuff, right? But she was a terrible teacher, okay? Now, I understand why they make people go through teachers college specifically, because they need to learn how to relay things to kids, okay? It's good that you know the subject matter, but you need to know how to relay it, okay? At least in high school when kids aren't, you know, as developed. Anyway, and so this teacher is just boring, okay? And I don't say that about too many teachers. Like, usually I'm pretty understanding, but this is a class that I literally go every day, and I am just bored out of my tree, just praying that something interesting happens. Not only was it boring, but the teacher liked complicating everything. I mean, it was just, she was so terrible at teaching the subject matter that every test I was just so confused as to what it was that we were learning. Looking back on it now, everything was so simple. But the way she was explaining it to us and the way it was being taught, it was like rocket science. I couldn't, and me and a lot of my friends could not comprehend it. There's really only 2 guys in the class who, you know, understood everything, and that's typical. There's usually, like, you know, the 1 or 2 people who know everything in the science areas. They're just, I don't know, kind of whizzes in math. But yeah, I'm not one of those guys, unfortunately, so I kind of got to start from the bottom. So anyway, flash forward throughout this whole course, okay? I don't want to talk too much about my teacher, you know. I respect her as an individual, not as a teacher, though. So, we're now at the exam time, okay? Exam time for physics was a little bit tense, alright? You know, you had to study at least 3 days in advance. Me and my buddy Matt studied a ton for this physics test, but we still weren't super confident because there was a lot of material that could have been on the test, and there were a lot of formulas you had to use, and it was just, you know, we were never confident in physics because this teacher was infamous for just throwing in random weird questions. So before exams, our teacher told us we have to make our own formula sheet, right? And so it was a bit confusing to me because she had printed out formula sheets that, like, literally were the exact thing that we needed, right? But for some reason, she said we needed our own formula sheets, like we had to make them, right? So there was like 30 formulas, give or take. So yeah, the first night she told me that, I wrote all the formulas down, made sure I didn't make any mistakes, you know, like took me 30 minutes maybe, and yeah, I have pretty neat handwriting, so it was, you know, pretty legible. And I was like, yeah, I'm set, I'm ready. However, here's the way it works. This teacher taught 2 grade 11 physics courses that semester, alright? In one of the physics courses was my friend Antonio. Very good friend of mine. His exam, for whatever reason, was 2 days before mine. His physics exam was 2 days before mine. So, Here's a little secret about Antonio. His handwriting is dog shit. Literally unreadable at times. It's embarrassing, okay? And he fully admits it. I don't know why, but he has very bad handwriting, okay? Straight up, bro, you just do. You know it. And so, like the night before he had to do his exam, he called me up and asked if he could just use my formula sheet that I wrote out, because he literally, the way he writes, man, like he would not have been able to understand his own formulas. That's how bad it was. Okay? And initially I was like, man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Just get your parents to write it. Who am I? But no, he was insisting, and you know, I'm always down to do favors for my friends. So the next day I gave him the formula sheet. He did the physics exam. He did decent on it, whatever. And then I'd tell him, you know, okay, you got to give me that sheet, the day that I have mine, right? Like, obviously, I needed the sheet back. I didn't see him that day, but I called him and I told him that. So one day goes by. I think I wrote like a history exam or something like that, and he didn't have an exam that day, so I didn't see him at all. And so then the next day was my big physics test, so I was cramming for that, studying, making sure that he would bring the formula sheet for the next day, right, so that I'm not stranded. And then, late at night, like literally 1 in the morning, he's like, oh, dude, oh man, I forgot. Oh my god. Dude, the teacher, she signed the formula sheet so we can't reuse them. And immediately I was like, oh. Well, that's fine, dude. Just put some whiteout on it. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right, yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, if she asks why there's whiteout, I'll just say I messed up a formula and I used some whiteout to take it out. He's like, okay. So Antonio goes to sleep because he had an easy exam the next day. Me and Matt continued to study for physics until about 2 a.m., at which point I went to sleep. And Matt continued to study till like some stupid time, like 5 in the morning, because he likes killing himself like that. And yeah, I get to school, and immediately I was just looking for Antonio. I need that formula sheet. Okay, Antonio, where are you? I keep texting him, and he's like, yeah, I'm on my way. And he's infamous for being late to school, okay? Even though he lives like 2 doors down, he just loves being late to school. So already I'm stressed out a little bit. Like, my exam's kind of coming, bro. Come on, are you coming? Are you here? Are you coming? So I was like texting with a good 10-20 minutes in advance of my test, in my exam beginning. And he was like, yeah, I'm coming. Eventually, with about 5 minutes until the exam starts, he stops replying. And I'm freaking out, man. I just start looking around the school. I literally am about to walk over to his house and punch him in the face and take it from him. I'm a little nervous, right? At this point, the teacher has emerged from her classroom and is now letting people inside to begin writing the exam. Okay? And here's the kicker. The ticket to get into the classroom, because she loved complicating life, the ticket to get into the classroom was a formula sheet that you had created. So I literally tried to go in and just kind of, like, I asked if I could just use one of the printed out ones, and she's like, no. And I was like, oh, please end my life. So she's there signing a bunch of people's papers, you know, basically confirming that they had brought in their own formula sheet and were now able to write the test. And I am waiting there like an idiot for my idiot friend who just, it's just a complete circle of idiocy. I know I should have written my own formula sheet after he said that she signed it, but goddamn, man, I was feeling lazy and I didn't want to have to do it again, man. That's BS. So here I am, literally about to freak out because I'm not going to be able to write my exam over a stupid formula sheet. And now let me switch perspectives. Let me share the story, as it was relayed to me, of what Antonio was doing at this moment. It turned out that Antonio was... it turned out that Antonio had been at the school a good 10 to 20 minutes before my exam started, and rather than, you know, text me telling me where he was at so that I could go and meet him or doing anything like that, he went to his locker first. At his locker, turns out, was the girl whom he was interested in at the time. Okay? And since Antonio's a little bit of a slayer, he decided to take precious minutes out of his day, allow himself to screw me over, and talk to this girl for like 10 minutes. 10 full minutes. Here's how he described it, okay? So from what he told me, this is what happened. He went to his locker, and his locker's like right beside this chick or whatever. She and him were the only ones there, right? So I mean, he just had to start a conversation, and he couldn't just say, "Hey, one sec, I gotta save my friend's life." No. He continued the conversation. He let it roll, and meanwhile, I was literally fearing for my academic life. Now, flashback to my perspective. I don't know that Antonio's talking to a girl, nor would I care. It probably would have just pissed me off more if I had known this. However, about 5 minutes into the exam, okay, I've already started my new formula sheet. I was writing them out, and I knew it would take me a while, but it was better than completely missing the exam. And here comes Matt, running down the hall. He was late as well. And by God, I have never seen a more beautiful thing in my life. Matt, this was a true brother moment right here. Matt comes running down the hall with my formula sheet in his hand, waving it in the air. He was like a knight in shining armor to me right there. So I go to just embrace Matt. However, as soon as I do, he says, Chris, man, you're screwed. You're completely screwed. And I look at this formula sheet that he had just recovered for me. And I see the whiteout job that Antonio did. And I literally almost have an ulcer, okay? It is so clear that she already signed it. I mean, seriously, look at that. I still have it. Do you see that? That's disgusting. How on earth could my friend, whom I let use that formula sheet, possibly screw me over this badly? Not only did he make me wait, but look at the job that he did of waiting that out. That's bad, man. So, I suck up my pride, and I go with Matt, who looks a little bit yellow, by the way. He definitely shouldn't have stayed up that late, but I go with Matt. We hand her our little formula sheets, and guess what she says? She says, "Okay." That's it. She said, "Okay." I knew for a fact that she saw it was already signed, but I guess somewhere in her heart something happened, and she let it go. And I got to write the exam, and I ended with a little bit above an 80, I think, in the course, maybe an 80, something like that. I know it was 80 or above, and I was happy. And if there's one bright side to this story, it's that Antonio did get the girl's number in the end. He did. So good for him. Let's have a little slow clap for him. Good on you, man. Good on you. Good on you, man. You're such a good friend, man. You're such a good friend. But wait! It's not over. While I might have done decently on the exam, remember little old Matt? Knight in shining armor? Friend of all friends? Guy with 1 hour of sleep? Writing an exam? Yeah, well, remember how I said he looked a little yellow? Let's just say, that was a very interesting exam for him. And honestly, I'm going to save that. That's a whole story in itself. So get ready for a second part. I will link it in the description once it's uploaded. There's going to be a part 2 to this. And it's going to be about puking during an exam. I love you, Matt, if you're watching this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this story. If you did, make sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and comment below if you've ever had any panicking situations like that during tests. I know I get them all the time. For some reason, everything goes wrong at the wrong moment, But, yeah, other than that, hopefully you enjoyed. I'll talk to you later. Oh, and just to ruin the entire story, Antonio did end up getting rejected by the girl, so it was all for nothing.